recognize this theme as the one Blood, Sweat, and Tears made popular. It is known as Gymnopédies, and it was written by Erik Satie in the year 1888. Satie was probably born about 100 years early. Had he been born into the 20th century music revolution, he would have had it made. But who knows, maybe he started the whole thing. He was strictly a hippie in the truest sense. It was not something he did to rebel against his parents or society, but the honest man and what he really was, a nonconformist. He was also known as the Velvet Gentleman, because velvet was his favorite. He always wore it. He even had velvet umbrellas, and at one time over 20 of them lined his bedroom wall. And he gave ridiculous titles to his works. At least that's what most people thought. But he was putting down all of the composers of his day who were taking themselves too seriously. And he spent his life trying to escape from what we now call the establishment. Satie died in 1925, but his taste and style surprisingly relate to where music has evolved to today. Satie expressed the ideal that contemporary music strenuously tries to be. In other words, what the musicians of today are driving their amplifiers and breaking their eardrums to achieve, Satie discovered just about a century ago. He tried to create a mirror in which the whole world could look and there see how they looked. He wanted people to recognize in his work their own fantasies, their own hysterias, and ridiculous vanities. And so, he put nonsense labels on his pieces as an expression of truth, so that those real seekers of something better could easily discover their answers in the simplicity of his writings. Satie has come crashing into popularity not only for the sensitive music he composed, but also because of his very free way of life, which parallels the mode and the mood of young people everywhere today. This image, and one that he was completely dedicated to, has made him the in composer among the underground music elite. This is a typical day in the life of Erik Satie. He says,
"An artist must regulate his life. Here is a timetable of my daily acts. I rise at 7:18, am inspired from 10:23 to 11:47. I lunch at 12:11 and leave the table at 12:14.
Wow, 3 minutes for lunch, how's that?
A healthy ride on horseback around my domain follows from 1:19 p.m. to 2:53 p.m. Another bout of inspiration from 3:12 to 4:07 p.m. From 5 to 6:47 p.m., various occupations, fencing, reflection, immobility, contemplation, dexterity, natation."
Natation, by the way, is contemplation of one's navel.
Dinner is served at 7:16 and finished at 7:20 p.m. From 8:09 to 9:59 p.m., symphonic readings, out loud, of course. I go to bed regularly at 10:37 p.m. Once a week, on Tuesdays, I awake with a start at 3:14 a.m. My only nourishment consists of food that is white: eggs, sugar, shredded bones, the fat of dead animals, veal, salt, coconuts, chicken cooked in white water, moldy fruit, rice, turnips, sausages and camphor, pastry cheese, the white varieties, of course, cotton salad, certain kinds of fish without their skins. I boil my wine and drink it cold mixed with the juice of the fuchsia. I have a good appetite, but never talk while eating for fear of strangling myself. I breathe carefully a little at a time, and dance very rarely. When walking, I hold my ribs and look steadily behind me. My expression is very serious. When I laugh, it is unintentionally, and I always apologize very politely. I sleep with only one eye closed, very profoundly. My bed is round with a hole in it for my head to go through. Every hour, a servant takes my temperature and gives me another.
Although our information is inaccurate, we do not guarantee it.
I forbid you to read the text during the time of my musical performance. Any failure to these observations will draw my just indignation against the overreader.
At the risk of incurring the wrath of Erik Satie's spirit, I still wish to be the first to read the lines in Hours Instantaneous. The sun is up early and of a good temper. The heat will be above normal because the time is prehistoric. The sun is way up in the sky. He seems to be of a good character, but do not trust him. Perhaps he is going to burn the harvest. Behind the hangar, a bull is eating to make itself sick. It's not that Satie didn't take his music seriously. On the contrary, he weighed his notes very carefully before setting them down on paper. Or, as Satie says of himself,
Everyone will tell you that I am not a musician. That is true. My work is nothing but pure phenometry, and it will be seen at once that in the creation of these works, musical ideas played no part at all. They are purely scientific. As a matter of fact, it gives me more pleasure to measure a sound than to hear it. With a phonometer in my hand, I work happily and surely. What is there that I have not weighed or measured? The first time I used a phonoscope, I examined a B-flat of average dimensions. I can assure you, I never saw in my life anything so repulsive. I had to call my servant to come in and look at it. On my phonoweighing machine, an ordinary F-sharp of a very common species registered 93 kilograms. It came out of a very fat tenor, who I also weighed.
Satie, the music revolutionist, with his barless music and unorthodox harmonies, was also the greatest innovator of his time of an art that was unknown during that period, the put-on.